One of the rarest personality types according to the Myers-Briggs system, they possess an intriguing mix of intuition, empathy, and a strong sense of idealism. However, there's another side to INFJs that may catch people off guard: their controlling tendencies in relationships. This controlling nature often emerges subtly and may be misunderstood. Because of this, they are often highly attuned to the emotional atmosphere in their relationships and environment. For INFJs, this sensitivity to emotional currents means that they are constantly scanning their surroundings to ensure that everything is in balance. When they detect any emotional turbulence, disharmony, or conflict, it triggers a deep sense of unease. This is where their controlling tendencies often emerge. Control becomes a mechanism to restore the harmony they crave. Maintaining inner and outer peace, however, their secondary function, extroverted feeling, FE, motivates them to apply these insights to their external world, particularly in their relationships. They might become overly involved in decisions, routines, or even their partner's emotional well-being, all in the name of maintaining harmony. Because INFJs absorb and internalize the emotions of others so deeply, they may feel an overwhelming need to contain and control emotional dynamics in a relationship. If their partner is upset or emotionally reactive, INFJs might step in to try to stabilize their partner's emotions, often by subtly guiding or even manipulating the situation. They might offer unsolicited advice, try to steer conversations in a particular direction, or become overly involved in solving problems that their partner might prefer to handle independently. This controlling behavior isn't necessarily driven by a desire to dominate but rather by a profound discomfort with emotional unpredictability. INFJs thrive in emotionally stable environments and often feel responsible for maintaining that balance. When things get out of hand, they instinctively take control to restore emotional order, which can be perceived by their partner as micromanaging or overstepping boundaries. In trying to avoid these issues, they may overcorrect, trying to preemptively control their partner's actions or emotions to avoid any perceived disruptions to their harmony. For instance, if an INFJ senses that their partner might react negatively to a certain situation, they might try to manage their partner's response by avoiding the topic altogether or steering them towards a preferred reaction. In doing so, they believe they are protecting the relationship from potential conflict, when in reality, they may be inhibiting the natural flow of emotions and dialogue between them and their partner. Another aspect of this need for control stems from the INFJ's strong preference for predictability. INFJs value consistency and routine because these provide them with a sense of security and reduce the potential for unexpected disruptions. In their relationships, INFJs often seek to create stable, predictable patterns to avoid the emotional upheaval that can come from spontaneity or uncertainty. They may encourage certain habits or routines in their partner or relationship dynamic, believing that this predictability will prevent conflict or discomfort. This sense of responsibility can make them feel justified in trying to control aspects of their partner's emotional experience, thinking that they are helping to manage or guide their partner through difficult emotions. However, this approach can sometimes cross into unhealthy territory. By trying to fix or manage their partner's emotions, INFJs may unintentionally rob their partner of their autonomy and ability to process emotions in their own way. It's important for INFJs to recognize that while they can offer support, they cannot, and should not, control their partner's emotional journey. INFJs typically avoid conflict at all costs, which is another reason why they may exhibit controlling behavior in relationships. Conflict disrupts the emotional harmony that they prize so highly, so they may try to manage situations to prevent arguments or disagreements from escalating. This can involve controlling the flow of conversations, steering away from controversial topics, or downplaying issues that could cause friction. For example, an INFJ might sweep a problem under the rug, choosing instead to focus on keeping the peace rather than addressing the underlying issue. While this may seem like a way to maintain harmony, it often leads to long-term tension, as unresolved issues linger beneath the surface. The INFJ's partner might feel that they are being manipulated into compliance or forced to suppress their own emotions for the sake of peace. In essence, the INFJ's need for control in relationships stems from a deep desire to maintain emotional balance, protect their inner world, and ensure that their environment aligns with their ideal vision of harmony. While this can lead to well-intentioned but controlling behaviors, INFJs can benefit from learning to release some of this control, trusting their partner's ability to manage their own emotions and conflicts, and fostering a more balanced, reciprocal dynamic. They often hold a picture of how their relationship should be, an idealized version of love that aligns with their values and visions. However, reality doesn't always match up with this idealized vision. When discrepancies arise between their ideals and reality, INFJs may feel compelled to fix or correct the situation. This can result in attempts to control their partner's behavior, actions, or even thoughts. INFJs are perfectionists by nature and often hold themselves, and their partners, to high standards. In their minds, if they can make everything perfect, then everyone will be happy. INFJs are protectors by nature. This protective instinct can often come across as controlling because they believe they know what is best for their partner and their relationship. For example, an INFJ might intervene in their partner's decisions, lifestyle choices, or interactions with others, thinking they are helping or preventing potential harm. This overprotectiveness can manifest in ways that feel controlling to their partner. Their controlling tendencies may arise from a genuine desire to safeguard the people they care about from potential negative outcomes. Fear of abandonment and insecurity. These fears are not always immediately visible, as INFJs often present themselves as confident and independent. However, underneath this exterior lies a vulnerability that can manifest in their relationships in complex ways. One of the most significant ways this vulnerability shows up is through controlling behaviors, which are often a defense mechanism to ward off potential abandonment and protect themselves from the pain of emotional loss. INFJs form incredibly deep emotional connections with their partners. Their relationships are never superficial, they invest a significant amount of time, energy, and emotion into understanding and connecting with their partner on a profound level. This depth of connection makes relationships central to the INFJ's sense of identity and well-being. When they bond with someone, they see the relationship as an essential part of their emotional and spiritual world, making the fear of losing that connection all the more intense. However, this intensity also makes INFJs vulnerable to feelings of insecurity. They fear that if the relationship falters, they will lose not only the person but also the deep emotional investment they've made. This fear often leads them to engage in behaviors designed to keep the relationship intact, even if it means controlling aspects of their partner's life. INFJs often experience a nagging insecurity in relationships, stemming from their own self-doubt and a tendency to question their worthiness of love and loyalty. Although INFJs project an aura of calm and understanding, they can be their own harshest critics. They might check in constantly, need reassurance, or try to monitor their partner's interactions with others to ensure that there are no threats to the relationship. This behavior is driven not by a desire to dominate but by a deep-seated fear that if they don't keep a close eye on things, they will be blindsided by abandonment. Because of their insecurity, INFJs often seek reassurance from their partners to quell their fears of abandonment. They may repeatedly ask their partner if they still love them, or they might need frequent affirmations that the relationship is solid. This constant need for validation can place strain on the relationship, as the partner may feel overwhelmed by the INFJ's unrelenting need for emotional reassurance. The controlling tendencies that arise from this insecurity might manifest as the INFJ attempting to orchestrate their partner's behavior in ways that offer them reassurance. For instance, they may prefer that their partner avoid spending too much time with friends, family, or coworkers, fearing that these outside connections might weaken their bond. By exerting control over who their partner interacts with and how much time they spend apart, INFJs seek to mitigate the threat of abandonment, even if it's mostly imagined. For INFJs, emotional distance is almost as painful as physical abandonment. In response, the INFJ may try to control the situation by demanding more attention or becoming overly involved in their partner's emotional life to bring them back into the fold. However, this attempt to control emotional closeness can backfire. Instead of fostering intimacy, it can lead to the partner feeling smothered or overwhelmed. The partner may begin to pull away even more, reinforcing the INFJ's fear of abandonment and triggering a cycle of increasing control and distance. These threats can include anything from a partner's friendships with the opposite sex to their interactions with colleagues or even their hobbies and activities. INFJs might become anxious if they perceive that their partner is spending too much time with others or engaging in activities that don't involve them. The goal here is to minimize the perceived threat of their partner forming new emotional connections or drifting away. In the INFJ's mind, controlling these external factors helps maintain the security of the relationship and reduces the risk of abandonment. INFJs are highly intuitive and often pick up on subtle emotional cues from their partner. This can include taking on responsibilities that their partner didn't ask for, offering unsolicited advice, or making decisions on behalf of their partner in an effort to solidify their bond and ensure that they remain indispensable. This, ironically, can drive the partner to pull away, which only reinforces the INFJ's fears and increases their controlling behaviors. Many INFJs have experienced some form of emotional trauma or abandonment in the past, which can exacerbate their fears in current relationships. If an INFJ has been hurt or betrayed in a previous relationship, they may develop a heightened sensitivity to any signs that history might repeat itself. This past trauma can make them hypervigilant, always looking for signs of potential abandonment. To prevent themselves from experiencing the same pain again, they may try to control their current relationship, believing that if they can manage everything, they won't be blindsided by betrayal or abandonment. This control can take many forms: monitoring their partner's activities, questioning their partner's loyalty, or even becoming overly protective of their emotional boundaries to avoid getting hurt again. Recognizing their fears of abandonment and insecurity is the first step for INFJs in breaking the cycle of control in their relationships. To truly thrive in a relationship, INFJs must work on healing their past wounds and building trust in their partner's love and commitment. This means accepting that no amount of control can fully prevent the possibility of abandonment, and that true security in a relationship comes from mutual trust and vulnerability. INFJs can benefit from developing greater self-awareness and learning to communicate their fears and insecurities openly with their partner, rather than resorting to controlling behaviors. I.N.F.J. Fear of abandonment and insecurity is a powerful force that can lead them to control their relationships as a means of self-protection. By recognizing and addressing these fears, INFJs can learn to release their need for control, allowing for a healthier, more trusting relationship dynamic. INFJs are notorious overthinkers. Their dominant cognitive function, introverted intuition, (NI), leads them to analyze and interpret situations from countless angles. They often anticipate problems before they arise and can spend a lot of time ruminating on what-if scenarios. This over-analysis can lead them to micromanage their relationships as they attempt to preemptively control potential issues. Because they foresee multiple possible outcomes, INFJs feel the need to steer the relationship in a direction they feel is most likely to succeed. This overthinking can create tension, as they may unintentionally smother their partner with their need to control every detail to ensure that their relationship remains on the right path. They are deeply attuned to their partner's emotions and can sense when something is off, even when nothing has been said. This high level of empathy, while a gift, can also lead to controlling behaviors. They may feel compelled to fix their partner's emotional state, sometimes to the point of being overbearing. They may try to guide their partner's feelings, decisions, or perspectives, believing that they know what's best for their emotional health. While their intentions are usually noble, the outcome can feel controlling to their partner, who might not want or need emotional management. However, while this trait allows them to form deep, meaningful connections, it also leaves them particularly vulnerable to emotional pain. The fear of getting hurt, rejected, or misunderstood often leads INFJs to struggle with vulnerability. In response to this struggle, INFJs may turn to control as a defense mechanism, using it as a way to protect their hearts and maintain a sense of emotional safety in their relationships. INFJs are extremely sensitive to emotional experiences, both their own and those of others. They often feel emotions more intensely than most people, which can make them more susceptible to hurt and betrayal. On the one hand, it's essential for building the intimate relationships they crave; on the other hand, it leaves them open to emotional harm. This inner conflict causes INFJs to approach vulnerability with extreme care. They may only share their deepest thoughts and feelings with a select few people they trust implicitly. Even in these close relationships, INFJs can find it difficult to fully let their guard down, fearing that if they expose their innermost selves, they will be rejected or misunderstood. By attempting to control their environment, relationships, or the flow of emotions within them, INFJs believe they can manage the risks associated with being vulnerable. This control can take many forms, from trying to dictate the course of conversations to steering the emotional tone of the relationship, all in an effort to protect themselves from hurt or disappointment. For example, an INFJ might try to control the pace at which a relationship develops, setting strict boundaries or conditions around how and when they open up emotionally. They may also seek to control how much of themselves they reveal, carefully curating what they share with their partner to avoid feeling too exposed. In some cases, they might even try to control their partner's emotions or reactions, attempting to guide their partner's responses to ensure that they don't face rejection or criticism. This approach, while protective, can create tension in relationships. The INFJ's partner may sense that something is being held back or that the relationship isn't progressing as naturally as it could. The partner might feel that the INFJ is being overly guarded or controlling, which can create a barrier to deeper intimacy. INFJs often feel deeply misunderstood by the world around them. As a result, INFJs are very cautious about who they let into their inner world. They may fear that if they fully expose their true selves, their partner won't understand them, leading to feelings of rejection or isolation. This fear of being misunderstood further fuels the INFJ's need for control in relationships. They may try to anticipate how their partner will react to their thoughts and feelings, and only share what they think will be accepted or understood. INFJs tend to be very selective about when and how they disclose their emotions. However, this tendency to control emotional disclosure can sometimes be perceived by their partners as withholding or emotional distancing. Partners may feel frustrated or confused by the INFJ's reluctance to fully open up, especially if they sense that there's more going on beneath the surface. This dynamic can create tension in the relationship, as the INFJ's partner may feel that they are being kept at arm's length, even in moments that call for deeper emotional connection. INFJs often engage in what can be described as emotional micromanagement in their relationships. Because they are so attuned to the emotional dynamics of their interactions, they can become hypervigilant about controlling how emotions are expressed and managed within the relationship. They might try to steer conversations away from emotionally charged topics or avoid situations that could trigger conflict or discomfort. This emotional micromanagement is a defense mechanism designed to prevent vulnerability and emotional exposure. For instance, if an INFJ senses that a conversation might lead to conflict or disagreement, they may attempt to control the dialogue to keep things calm and harmonious. They might avoid addressing certain issues or change the subject to prevent any emotional upheaval that could make them feel vulnerable. While this behavior is meant to protect both themselves and their partner from emotional distress, it can lead to unresolved issues and unspoken tensions, which ultimately undermines the relationship's emotional health. INFJs tend to be very private and self-contained, relying on their inner world for emotional support. This makes it challenging for them to fully surrender to a relationship and trust that their partner will be there for them in moments of emotional need. This lack of trust can lead to controlling behavior as INFJs attempt to manage the relationship in a way that protects them from potential emotional harm. They may feel that by keeping a close watch on the relationship's emotional dynamics, they can prevent any unexpected hurt or betrayal. However, this control can prevent the INFJ from fully experiencing the depth and intimacy that comes with true vulnerability and trust in a relationship. To grow emotionally, INFJs need to learn how to release some of this control and allow themselves to be vulnerable with their partner. It also means accepting that vulnerability is an essential part of love and connection, and that while it carries the risk of pain, it also opens the door to the emotional closeness and intimacy that INFJs deeply crave. They strive to maintain a sense of emotional order and harmony in their lives, which can make them uncomfortable with the messiness and unpredictability of human emotions. This discomfort can lead them to try to control their emotions and those of their partner, believing that by keeping things orderly and predictable, they can avoid emotional chaos and pain. However, relationships are inherently messy and unpredictable. Emotions don't always follow logical patterns, and trying to control them often leads to frustration and disappointment. For INFJs, learning to embrace the messiness of emotions and relationships is a crucial step in overcoming their need for control. For INFJs, this means taking small steps toward being more open and vulnerable with their partner, even when it feels uncomfortable or risky. By gradually letting go of their need to control every aspect of the relationship, INFJs can begin to build deeper trust with their partner and experience the emotional closeness they desire. It's important for INFJs to remember that control may offer a temporary sense of safety, but it ultimately prevents them from experiencing the full depth of love and connection that comes with true vulnerability. I.N.F.J. struggle with vulnerability and their use of control as a defense mechanism stem from a desire to protect themselves from emotional pain. Uncertainty can be unsettling for them, and relationships are often full of unpredictability. In an attempt to maintain their sense of stability, INFJs may become controlling in their relationships to keep things within their comfort zone. They might impose routines, rules, or expectations on their partner, believing that by maintaining a structured environment, they can avoid chaos and emotional disruption. This need for control is often more about the INFJ's internal world than the external one. When things feel organized and predictable, they feel secure and in control of their emotions and thoughts. Surface-level interactions or shallow relationships don't satisfy their emotional needs. They might push their partner to open up, reveal their deepest thoughts, or match the level of intensity that the INFJ brings to the relationship. This can be overwhelming for some partners, who may not be ready or willing to engage at such a deep emotional level. INFJs, in turn, may try to help their partner by nudging them towards greater emotional depth, but this can feel like pressure and control from the partner's perspective. While I.N.F.J.'s controlling tendencies in relationships often stem from well-meaning intentions, they can nonetheless create challenges for their partners. Understanding why these behaviors arise can foster compassion and communication in the relationship. INFJs, with their idealism, empathy, and desire for harmony, often try to manage relationships out of a desire to protect, connect, and create stability. However, balance is key, and INFJs must also recognize when their need for control might be stifling their partner's autonomy or the natural flow of the relationship. Have you experienced control dynamics in relationships, either as an INFJ or with an INFJ partner? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's explore this intriguing aspect of INFJ relationships together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Psych IQ for more deep dives into personality types and psychology.